Conor Sampson. I'm an architect and lighting consultant. I teach at McGill University, and I run a firm with 10 people out of Montreal, Canada. So I graduated from architecture school in the mid-90s in Montreal, and at that point in time, it was a terrible time to graduate as an architect because there was not much building going on. It was kind of in a recession. And you have to kind of explore lateral ways of practicing architecture, and I did everything from graphic design to video to renderings, et cetera, But I think from that kind of climate of scarcity, you tend to think about what can have the largest impact. And the architecture scene in Quebec and in Montreal in particular was really driven by this kind of hard scramble, innovative kind of get it done kind of attitude, and you had to make do with what you had. And for me, you can do a fantastic project with really very little resources if you do it right. So I thought to myself, well, I'll master this, and then I fell down a rabbit hole because the notion that you can get good at lighting is a bit absurd. Like it just multiplies, right? And then of course you have all sorts of different types of projects. The world just kind of expanded instead of contracting. Of the projects that won awards, Union Station in Toronto was an amazing project with a lot of historical restoration of fixtures, which was just such an honor, pleasure to actually be able to work with these materials and the artisans that produce them. I guess a very different type of project, the luminous seesaws of luminotherapy that we did, brought enormous joy to children, and it was just such a public type of reward to have those seesaws in the public sphere. Even the small projects, we do a lot of work with 1%. There's this program called 1% Art, where public buildings should dedicate a certain portion of the budget to art. And so we really like working with artists on these smaller projects. They're usually projects that really kind of force you to think, the things that you think, well, no, we can't do that, and then maybe we can do that, and maybe we could try that, and then you do it. So it's a lot of fun. The way you pose a question, it's almost like an externality, in the sense that it's affecting our work, or I don't think it should come from outside. I mean, not to be glib, but to a certain extent, building codes and energy codes are kind of like doing your taxes. I feel like that it's something that has to be done, and I'm not saying that they're not necessary. Don't get me wrong. It's just not very interesting, and I think that we should do them. Stop talking about it so much, and focus on things that are really about quality of life, quality of space. And those are sustainable goals as well. They're much more complicated. And so I think the low-hanging fruit are the quantitative things. So, like how low can we limbo with the lighting power density is one thing. But, at a certain point, it gets much harder to reach those goals. And we have to start thinking about qualitative issues as well. I think I would like to see more educational awareness, consumer, but also just general public awareness of lighting. And I think that while LEDs are great, we're seeing a kind of a contraction of the availability of product on the market with respect to kind of limited SKUs. And that's all great for efficiency and stocking, etc. But I think we're seeing this weird phenomena where their reference point has become, say, 4,000K because Home Depot supplies it. And people are, while they're viscerally aware of things like fire and candles, they're starting to forget that electric lighting could have a lot of those qualities. And I think, on one scale, we gotta have the discussion with architects and designers who are creating space so that they understand the possibilities. But then at the other end of the scale, we have to be teaching children and general members of the public that light is a part of their lives, and that they have these options, and that they should insist upon these options before these options no longer exist.